Hello, everybody. And Matthew, thank you for your message. Yes, the webinar does include information on the new banking reconciliation, which I'm really excited about. I think it's one of our best features we've ever launched. So I'm going to show you all that as well in a few minutes. So I'll just give everyone a second. I think we've got quite a lot of people registered today. So let me, what I'll do is I'll put up a couple of slides and then I'll go into the demo so I can show you around the system. And the reason I do the slides is just to give you a little bit of background on Alphalets, because a lot of you may be brand new, maybe you've only just heard of us recently, or maybe you've heard about us for a while and you've been curious to know a little bit more about who we are. So the reason I put the slides up is I'm a portfolio landlord myself. I've been a landlord for a long time, longer than I care to mention, at least 25 years anyway. And I've been through the thick and thin of it, like I'm sure a lot of you have as well. And about 5 or 6 years ago, things started to change. We were getting information from the government that Section 24 was coming along. There's going to be changes and more compliance and so on. And like everybody, I noticed that it was getting harder and harder to keep on top of my portfolio. And quite often, you know, you start losing money. You don't even realize you're losing money until it's the end of the year and you're doing your tax returns and so on. Or, you know, there's tenants disputes and, you know, you need all your information. And I just personally just find that very difficult to keep on track of. I'm also from a software background. So my loves, I guess, are, you know, my working loves anyway, are property and technology. So Alphalets was a way to bring all that together and create something brand new, something very different that would really help people optimize their portfolios in the way I've been doing it. And we launched Alphalets about 4 years ago, so we've been around for a while now. And before that, we were working on a prototype for probably about 18 months. So this has been a long time in the works of bringing this product to market. So I hope you're really going to like it. And let me just tell you a little bit about what it's really aimed to do. First of all, it's aimed to give you real-time information. Okay, so with one click, I'm going to show you a really cool new feature today with one click where you can reconcile all your transactions and it'll give you a complete up-to-date view of if your rents are in, if your mortgage payments have gone out and so on. With it being cloud computing, everything is securely backed up in the cloud. We use AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, which are the biggest hosting cloud provider in the world. All the big companies you can think of will use somebody like Amazon or Microsoft or Google. Amazon are the biggest, which is why we chose them. And being cloud computing, it means you've got access from anywhere. Okay, so wherever you can get on the internet, you can get your data through our system. And also we have a mobile app as well, and everything syncs up between the mobile and the desktop. And the other thing about Alphalets is I mentioned earlier, is just giving you full visibility of what's going on with your business, especially as your portfolios get bigger, or if you've already got a big portfolio. Sometimes it can be really difficult to keep on top of stuff. The other part of being a landlord is because there's so much to do now and so much to remember, we're putting a lot of automation into the system to again make your life a little bit easier. And at the end of the day, we want to save you time and money. I think that's the value of any software product, is when it can really save you time and money and just make it easy for you to run your businesses. So typically our users would come to us having used some sort of a spreadsheet. It's exactly how I started all those years ago. And then over time, and this is an actual spreadsheet that I got from one of our users. In fact, it was a lot bigger than this. This is just a piece of it because I couldn't get it all onto one slide. But you can, and obviously I've changed the data, so it's not his real property address and so on. But this is the exact format that he sent it through to me on. And you can see, you know, trying to keep track of the addresses, the purchase dates, and, you know, interest rates going up and down. The yellow on the right-hand side here is the gas safeties and the EICRs. But obviously now there's even more than that. There's EPCs, there's HMO licensing, there's insurance to remember, and all these other things that are going on as well. So typically what would happen is, and this may well be the way you run your portfolios, is you have a spreadsheet, and then you find that your spreadsheet, it only gives you half a solution. So you need some sort of database to keep track of your tenants and your suppliers and just your general information about your property business. Maybe you then move to some sort of accounting package. You're probably not an accountant. You may be, but a lot of our landlords aren't accountants. We need to keep track of our our transactions. So you start using an accounting system like QuickBooks or Xero or something like that. And, so that's another system you're using. Then you've got all your tasks to remember, like your insurance and your EPCs and so on. So you have some other system to do that. And then you want to store all your documents, like your tenancy agreements and your EPCs. So you have something else to store your documents. And before you know it, you've got 4 or 5 different systems that you're using to try and keep on top of all this stuff. And one of the problems about all that is that, your database may not talk to your task management system, or your spreadsheet doesn't work with your file storage. So you end up having to update every single system to try and keep on top of stuff. And you have to pay a cost for this. I know things like spreadsheets are free as part of your maybe your Office 365 or your Microsoft subscription or your Google or whatever, but it is only a piece of the solution. And also, when it comes to access, I've heard lots of horror stories. In fact, this is a little bit about like me as well, is I built this great system on spreadsheets and databases and accounting software. But my wife and I, we run our portfolio together, and she could never work it. She could never find my information. It was all on my desktop. So if I was out of the office, I could never get for my information and so on. So Alphalets is a way where we bring all that together and we make it very, very easy, which I'll show you in a minute. Or maybe you've already made the move to some sort of technology platform, but you're finding it really dated, or it's clunky and difficult to use. And, at the end of the day, you may not be that technically savvy. A lot of our users aren't, which is fine. So it needs to be easy. It needs to be something that is easy to use, accessible from anywhere, and can actually save you time and obviously save you money at the same time. And then your costs are going up. I don't really need to go through all these points, but we've seen our costs go up as landlords. And I'm not just talking about interest rates in inflation, but just general costs. Like, there used to be things like wear and tear allowance and all this stuff. So those have now gone. So we've got to keep on top of our business, and we've got to keep a much closer eye now on our income and expenses. So Alphalets, again, will help you do that. So that's just a little bit about the problem we're looking to solve. And you might be wondering, who uses Alphalets? We've been around for a while now. So, what sort of customers use our product? And the answer to that is everybody. Whether you've got one property or one or two or three, or fairly small portfolio, or whether you're a letting agent. We have a lot of letting agents coming to us now because for the same reason that letting agent software is dated and clunky and expensive, or it's big portfolio users like Tom here on the left. He's got 60 properties, a mix of HMOs and single lets, and he manages not only his own properties but properties for other people as well. So he's got a good growing business there. Teresa in the middle, 50 properties. She was using a product from Sage before this. Tom was using, I forget now, it's another property management software that he really struggled with. Teresa was using a product from Sage, loves Alphalets, big advocate for us, case studies, and I think there's a video of her on our website as well somewhere. And then Joe on the right is a property developer. So again, growing business. He converts like all commercial buildings into flats and blocks of flats. So all very, very successful, and all have tried other systems and moved to Alphalets because it's easy to use and solves a big problem. So this is what the system looks like. And we bring all this stuff together and replace all these different myriads of systems to help you run your business in an easy way. All right, so let me dive into the demo. So I suspect that a lot of you will have already been on our website, and this is what it looks like. There's obviously information about the product, but there's also some really great useful information. Like if you click on Learn and go into our blog pages, there's a lot of information, a lot of things you can download, like tenant welcome packs, inventory reports, inspection reports. All this stuff is free for our community. So you're all welcome to download that. So to get to your information, when you set up your account, you would go to the top right-hand side of our screen here, and you can either log in if you've already got an account set up, or you can click on this bluey black button here to start your account, and you can set up 3 properties completely free and start using the product to try it out. So once you've logged in, this is what the system looks like. Okay, so down the left-hand side, you can see all the different things that are in the product, like your properties, your tasks, your tenant information, suppliers, owners, the smart banking, which I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, all the reporting you're ever going to need, all your expense management, your categories, and we even have a marketplace where you can get access to products as well. So the first thing you'll notice, hopefully, is the design of Alphalets. People love the simplicity, the clean layout. Being from a software background, I know a bit about this, that if you want a product to really succeed, it has to be easy to use. And we always try to, a word we use internally is delighting our users. We really try to delight our customers with a great user experience. So when you log in, the most important information we think you need from, obviously not version 1 of our product. We've developed this over many, many years, and we've had great feedback from customers of what they want as well. So the information you probably want most relevant is you want to know your rents and expenses. Okay, have your rents come in here. So we put this in a sort of status bar at the top here. And I can see here that I've received £1,000 of rent, but I've still got 8,595 due. Okay, and that's why this little green bar has moved up a little bit here, obviously not to the end, because we're only just got 1,000 in, and it's fairly early in the month as well. So obviously we haven't had many rents in yet. Same with expenses. As you start to put your expenses in the system for the month, they'll show up here. And if you set up an expense which is due, like maybe you're doing some building work and the second payment's due next month, you can log the payments and then you can see what's due in your window here as well. If you want further information, like if you want to see what rents are due, I can click on the button here, and this will give me the breakdown of what those rents are. So I can see here are my tenants, here are my properties that the rents are due from, and here are the amounts here. Okay, so just very, very simple to get at that information with just one click. The next bit down here is we have a full integrated task management system, because what I think and what our landlords have told us is that a lot of the stuff we do, once the tenant's in, a lot of the stuff we do is just day-to-day admin. It's like sorting out EPCs. Maybe they call up with a leaky tap or a broken sink or whatever it might be, and all those things you want to get logged and you want to get them into the system so you can see the status of them. So that's why we put the task management system right here in the front of the page. You can very simply add a task by clicking on this button here, and if a task becomes overdue, it goes red. So I can see one here. This was due on the 6th of January. It's now overdue. I can see the property here. It gives me a subheader of what it is, like repainting the front door. And I can also put labels here as well. So in this example here with the EPC, I've put a label of EPC because that's obviously the most important thing, but also it needs decorating. Okay. And same here with the property inspection, that's due on the 18th of January. and I can even attach an attachment to it. Like if I have a property inspection, the last property inspection, for example, I can attach that to it. And then when I click on the task for more information, I can open up that document and read it. And I can put all my notes in here as well of whatever the task is due. Now, not only do we put that in right in the middle of the page here, but we email this to you every Monday morning. So even if you're not in Alphalets and you're out and about and you're traveling and for whatever reason you can't log in, we'll email you, and we'll email you not every single task in the system, obviously, because you don't need to know about stuff that's being completed, but anything that's upcoming or overdue, that's what you'll get, and you'll get that straight into your inbox in your email. Now, down the bottom of the page here, I talked about rents that are received and due, but if you have rents that are overdue, these are the sort of things that can kill your business as a landlord. Chasing tenants, getting bad tenants in, and trying to keep track of all this stuff, especially if they move to some sort of payment plan and they start paying you like £100 a week, and it's just very easy to lose track of all this stuff. So the arrears, we will do all that for you in the system. Now, obviously, this is a demo account. This isn't live data because I wouldn't want to share personal information, either mine or anybody else's, with the group here. But this gives you an example of, I've got 7 tenants. Here are the arrears. And again, I can click on these fields to see the breakdown and the detail of those arrears. And it even totals it all up here. So, I can see at a glance how much arrears I've got. I can see my occupancy rates. If you've got a small portfolio, this may not be as relevant, but as your portfolio grows, and especially with people with, we have people with hundreds of properties now on Alphalets. So this sort of information is really vital to keep on track of everything. And then on the right-hand side, you've got a nice visual of your cash flow, your income and expenses. And if you want to, we give you a 6-month window here because it fits nicely onto our dashboard. And gives you a little snapshot. If you wanted a bigger view of that, you can just flick through the months. You can pick the dates, and you'll notice that the dashboard, the cash flow graph, will dynamically update and not only redraw it out, but it will retotal up your income and expenses for that period of time. Okay. And not only that, but we can even do it by property. So at the top of the page here, if you just wanted to do see your dashboard for, let's say, one property, then you can just click on that. And now I can see at a glance what it's just telling me. Okay, it's telling me I've got a vacant property. So I've got no arrears because I've got no tenant in there. I do have a task to do. I've got an EPC to do. And I can see my cash flow, for the last 6 months. I can do the same thing for multiple properties if I wanted to do it that way. And if you manage properties for other owners, like other landlords, then you can put the names of your landlords in here. Maybe you share properties with a relation or a friend, and you can manage all these properties and do breakdowns and reports by owners as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about the dashboard and the information that we give you to make running your business easier and giving you full visibility. But there's some really, on top of all this, there's also some really clever features of the product. And one of them is smart banking. Now, we've had the banking integration in Alphalets for quite a while. We first put open banking synced up to Alphalets about 18 months ago. But open banking is a big, powerful thing. There's lots you can do with it. So just connecting the bank and getting all the approvals of Alphalets to, get the approvals, the financial approvals to be verified, to do all this stuff is a very time-consuming task. And it took us many months to do it. But anyway, we got open banking in it. And then over the last 18 months, we've been continuing to innovate with open banking. And one of the things we've done recently, so if you haven't seen this before, let me just explain what this is as well. So open banking is a way where you can connect the Alphaletz system to your bank, whatever that is. We support 11,000 different banks globally. Not every country is supported. The UK is, most of Europe. Australia isn't. We do have some users in Australia, and there's some other countries, New Zealand as well, I think, for example, that isn't connected, but most are now connected. And just about every bank you can think of is available to connect with Alphalets. So once you log in, you'll get for the first time, you'll see a screen that says connect your bank. Click the open banking. I'm doing a new video on this actually, which will be out in a few days. Canada, I think Canada is supported, Kareem. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm almost sure. I'm 99%, but I can check that in a moment. Yeah, so when you log in, it's really simple. There's a little wizard. It says connect your bank. Yes. Pick the banks you want to connect to. Pick the accounts within the bank. So you might have a savings account, a deposit account, a checking account, whatever it might be. Click the accounts you want to connect. And then in this example, you can see I've got Barclays Bank connected. Here's Barclays Online Banking. Now, so that's part one of open banking. And what you can then do is as the transactions come in, you can then reconcile the transactions. So you can say, okay, that payment there is the rent for property A. So yeah, so I tell the system which rents are for which properties, and I do the same for the expenses where I can reconcile it in the same way. Now, obviously doing it one by one is quite a time-consuming task. So we thought about ways we could solve this and make it easier for you. And the first thing we thought of is, well, why don't we put this feature in here called find and match? So for example, if I wanted to find, I don't know, what do I want to find in here? If I put in channel, I mean, this is not real data. So, you know, if I type in something like channel, then anywhere it's got channel in here, I could then click the find and match, and I could reconcile all these payments. Like if it was, I could do my income and expenses, and I could reconcile them in bulk in one go to a specific property. So I might want to say, right, I want to reconcile all these payments to property A or property B, or whatever it might be. So that was the first thing we did with find and match, which we put in probably about 6 to 8 months ago, I think it was now. Now, what we introduced just last week, okay, so you're the first people that have seen this on a demo, was a new feature called bank rules. Okay, so I'm now switching to my other account within Barclays here. And what you'll see here is a new green button that says accept. So rather than having to click on one button like here and reconcile them individually, or rather than having to search through your transactions and search and do them in bulk, which is still a great option for, let's say you've had some building work done and you've got 10 invoices and you just want to put those 10 invoices against one property, find and match is great for that. But where you've got things like regular transactions like rent money that comes in every month, or a mortgage payment that goes out, or a service charge, or an insurance, or, you know, as a landlord, you've probably got as much stuff as you can set up on some sort of standing order so that these things, you know, because you want to automate your business. So therefore, as these transactions come in, wouldn't it be brilliant if I could just click one button and all those transactions get reconciled in one go? So that's what bank rules does. Okay, so what I've done here is I've set up bank rules for all these transactions that show a green button. And I do it by going into bank rules here. So let me show you, for example, this rule here. So this rule says, if the payee or tenant contains GDFC, okay, that's the name of the supplier, then I want to sign it as an expense to City Walk. I can put in my own description, so I'm putting boiler finance cover. I can categorize it as well, so when I run my reports, it's all in the right place. And I can put in the name of my supplier from my supplier list here. And you can set up your suppliers on the left-hand side here. I'm going to search for across all the bank accounts. Okay, so let's say you've got 5 different banks. Maybe your rents come in to one bank and then you change banks and you want your rents to come into another one. You can assign the rule to one specific bank, or you can assign it to all the banks. So I'm saying here, if anything comes in that says with a reference of GDFC in it, I want to allocate it as an expense to CityWalk from any of my bank accounts, and I want to name that rule as boiler insurance cover. So there it is, GDFC. So I'll just come out of that. And now if I go into my transactions back here in this account, anywhere where it says GDFC, let's see if we can find one as I go down the page. There it is. It's found GDFC, and it's highlighted it here in green. And now I can, with one click, I can either just accept that in one go, or I can go to the top of the page and I can say accept all. So now I've only got 5 rules set up in the system at the moment. Okay, so I've only got a small number of these transactions. But on my own portfolio, I've now got about 40 rules set up. I'm actually surprised how many rules I've managed to find, and I'm still finding them. So when I come in the morning, all this is green. I might have the odd one, which, you know, maybe it's a one-off transaction. I'm trying to think of something I did recently. I think we had to buy a new fridge. Yeah, we bought a new fridge from AO.com. So I might have had one, which was a one-off transaction. But everything else is green. And all I have to do is click that accept button. And that's going to update all the properties, all my expenses. The dashboard is going to update all with one click. So let me show you an example. If I go back to the dashboard here, and I click down to the arrears, I can see that this guy here has got 22,770 pounds of arrears. Or has he? Let's check. Right, so I can click on here. And if I click on here, this tells me that he currently lives in the London flat. And here is the amount of arrears. So let's go into the detail of that. Again, it's just clicks. It's just 1 or 2 clicks. And I can now see here are the arrears payments. Okay, so I can see these have been reconciled because they're paid. And where I can see the little bank icon next to it, that means I've reconciled it from the bank. You can, if you're not connected to the bank, you can still use Alphalets perfectly well. You just have to click the button that says mark as paid, as opposed to automating it through the bank. So I can see here I've got 6 overdue rents. So let's go back to our transactions. And let's have a look for those rents. So actually here are the rents. I can see them here. There's one of them. So I could do the search and match. So if I type in the tenant's name, whoops. There we go, it's found them. Okay, but I don't need to use find and match because I've set a rule up. And I'll show you the rule. The rule is here. Yeah, here it is. So what I've said is any conditions match. So what I've said is if the pay or tenant contains his name. Now, when your payments come into your own bank, it may not necessarily have the name of the tenant. It might be the name of the property. Anything that can identify that payment on the description that comes into your bank, stick it in here. You can do it as an exact match, but obviously if it says something like Manfredi, London flats number 3 or something, then it won't pick it up because you said it equals. That's why I put contains. So if it contains the word of your reference, whatever that is, then I'm going to assign that as income against my London flat. I'm going to call it rent, so I know what it is when I do my reports. I'm going to search across all my accounts, and the rule is for the London flat for that tenant. So let's go back to our transactions. And as I scroll down, I can see those payments. So with one click, I'm going to accept all those. And the system now is going to start putting all those transactions against the right categories. Okay, so if I now go into categorized, this is the first time I've done this live, actually, so hopefully it's all going to go really nicely. Yeah, so here we go. So I can now see those payments have been categorized. Okay, so I've moved it. It's gone from, when you connect to your bank, everything goes into the review tab first. And then as you start to reconcile them, they will move into the categorize tab. When they're in the categorize tab, that's when they'll start showing up on your dashboard, on your reporting, and so on. Okay, so they're categorized. So now if I go back to my dashboard, I can see my arrears have come down, and yeah, and that tenant has now disappeared from my overdue tab and my arrears tab because he's fully paid up and we've reconciled those transactions. So you can imagine, as you start using this, you come in, you log in the morning, you've got a complete overview of your business. You come down to your transactions, you check the payments that have come in. All these will be green because you set them up as a rule. You click accept all, and then your dashboard is perfectly up to date. So it is a massive time saver for you. And you can even have things like automations in the system with this as well. So you can send if you can send rent reminders to the tenants automatically. So, you know, for example, you know, your rent is due in 3 days' time. Please make sure you have funds available. That's already set up in the system. You can turn that on or off. If the rent hasn't come in, you can send an automatic email to them saying that, you know, your rent was due yesterday for £1,000. It hasn't come in. Please let us know when that payment is going to come in. And that can all be automated. Okay. And you can do it effortlessly because you can come in, you can see your dashboard, you can scroll down, you can click that the magic button to accept all your transactions, and then all the automations and so on will all be triggered based on that information. So I'm just going to pause there because there's probably quite a lot to tell you and to show you, and I normally get a lot of questions and excitement about this. So please feel free to type them all in. I'm just going to have a look at the screen, make sure that I have got on top of all everyone's messages. Dorota, can I use this software if I manage 3 different portfolios? How do you separate them on the dashboard? Yes, good question. And yes, you can. So we would tag a portfolio by an owner. Okay, so let's say, so for example, I've got some properties in a limited company, and I've got some properties in my own name. Okay, so I have to do, so I run them as 2 portfolios because I have to do 2 tax returns. So I tag all the properties in my limited company in one portfolio. So it could be this one here, LM Properties Limited. Okay, so that could be my portfolio, or in your case, if you manage other people's portfolios, it could be a personal name. And now I can see the dashboard just for the properties in the limited company. You can do exactly the same for the owner. So if I was to, let's say you were managing Alex Ferguson's properties here. I don't know if he has a property portfolio or not, but let's assume he does. Then I can see, so if you were the letting agent or a property manager, and Alex Ferguson rang you up and said, what's happening with my Birmingham HMO? You could say, well, actually, we need to repaint the front door. We've got some decoration going on. You can click on here. You can see the note. You can update the notes. You might say, painter booked for Friday, or whatever it might be. Update that note, and then if anybody else logs in, they can see the status of that task as well. How do you link properties to the separate owners? Okay, right. What you do is you go into owners here on the left-hand side, and you click on the owner. So you set up your owner, which could be a limited company or a person. So let's pick this owner here, Alex Ferguson. I've got Alex's details. I've got, if this is a landlord, you can keep notes and all the documents associated to that landlord. And you can then link or unlink with one click the properties to the owner. And again, we do it this way because ownerships change. Like you might take a property in your own name and move it into a limited company. You might share a property with somebody and then they sell their half to you or whatever. So you can unlink and link really, really easily. Now, obviously, there's so much more Alphalets can do. So I'm just going to show you one or two more highlights, and then I'll just stop for some more questions. But before I do that, once you've got your data into Alphalets, and you can see how easy it is to do this, then you're going to want to create reports. So maybe you give your income and expenses to your accountant to do your tax returns. Maybe you do them yourself, but however you do them, you're going to want to get access to your data. So we make that easy as well. We call it our smart reporting. And in here, you can pick, again, you can pick on a single property, or you can click on your whole portfolio. By the way, I use Alphalets for my own personal property. So it's brilliant for tracking your utility bills, your broadband, and your repairs, reminding yourself about car servicing. And I do all that, and then I can separate it. So when I run my reports, I just take out my personal property, whatever that might be. Again, this is demo data, and then I run the report accordingly. But just a useful little tip there that I personally find brilliant. Okay, so let's say I'm now ready to run my report. If you hold your mouse over, we have a little drop down here with some options. So you can run a report just for this month or last month, or this financial year or last financial year. If you want more options than that, let's say you want to do a report for a specific period, like 1st of May to the 1st of July, then click on this little more filters button here, and you can add in even more timelines and so on. You can even run reports by description. Like let's say you're looking for all the repairs to leaky taps. You could put in leaky taps, run your report, and the thing will produce it in a flash. So let's say I want to do my tax return for last financial year. I know that's quite a hot topic at the moment. I think everyone's probably been busy with their tax returns. Then I click on this export button. I have some options. I'm going to say, yeah, I want a full breakdown, and I want it in Excel, and I want it broken down and summarized in an easy to read format. I'm going to include portfolio expenses. What we mean by portfolio expenses is expenses that aren't necessarily linked to a specific property. So it could be, for example, you've bought a new computer, and the computer's for your business, and you can offset that against your property business. Okay, so that could be a portfolio expense. If you are flipping properties, let's say you've sold some properties, then you can categorize some of those expenses as capital expenses, like if you're putting on a new roof or doing building work and so on. But I'm just going to assume this is all buy-to-let information. We're doing our tax returns, and I want to run a quick report and give it to my accountant. So I click on export. I now click on here, and I now just need to bring this over to the right screen so you can see it. Here is my report. Now you can see how quickly that was produced. I think by the time I clicked the button, it was done. And you can see that it's now a complete breakdown by property. It's summarized, so I can see all the rents that have come in. I can see all the expenses associated with that with a summary down the bottom. Same for City Walk and so on. All my properties now, all summarized by income, by expenses, all totaled up at the bottom. And I've even got a little summary down the bottom here of so I can see it, so which is great. So if you're halfway through the year and you're thinking, I wonder how the properties are performing, one click, run your report, bang, there it is. And you can say, oh, I got some issues here. This one, you know, making some losses here. This this sort of property obviously not doing so well. And then, you know, then you can see the detail, and then you can decide whether you want to sell that property or keep it, or maybe it needs some work or whatever it might be. All right, so let me just move that out of the way again, so you can see my screen. Okay, I'll blow that up a bit bigger. Right, so I want to keep track of time, because I know I get excited and I talk. I try and cover absolutely everything, but there's just too much to cover in the slot we have at Alphaletz. So there's two other things I wanted to cover. One is going back to your dashboard. Not only do we give you all this great information here, if you need, for example, if you wanted to find a tradesperson, we have this little button here. We've partnered up with a company called My Constructor. You can see Alphalets down here. And if you were looking for something like an EPC, you can put in EPC, you can put in what type of a property it is, when you want your EPC done, the postcode of your property. Let's pick Manchester here, get instant prices. And then with one click, you can see it's partnered with Alphalets at the top, and it's given you, well, quite a few options here. There's like 10, 15 different people that can do that EPC for you on that date. You can even move it for you. So, well, actually, I can't do it on Wednesday. Let's move it to Friday. It'll recalculate. And then here are all the people. You can read the reviews. You can see the prices. And then you just click on the one you want, and you'll have somebody out doing your EPCs. I love this service. I use it all the time myself, and it's, you know, you might have your own tradespeople, but if you don't, you know, everything from cleaning ovens, man in a van, upholstery cleaning, you'll find it in our marketplace. And that's just one of the things we do in the marketplace. You can also get rent guarantee insurance. If you need your accounts doing, we've started working with a company called Debitam. I've just done my personal account through them. I saved myself £2,000 by moving to them from my old accountant. Really, really good, really efficient, and saved me a fortune. So you'll find all that in our marketplace. You click on the marketplace here on the left-hand side, and you'll see a list of all the services we've got: credit checking, mortgage information, finding tradespeople, insurance. If you're thinking about moving your properties to a limited company, we can help you with that as well. So everything we can think of that we think you would need as a landlord or might be interested in, we'll put it into our marketplace. Right, I just want to keep an eye on the questions as well. You provide some training videos. Yes, thank you, good question. Not only do we provide training videos, we have a very active YouTube channel. I did have it open here. I meant to thank you for the prompt, because I nearly forgot about that. We've got loads of videos on here. And also for paying customers, I do a monthly training. So that today was more of an overview of what the system can do and how it can work for you and save you time and money. But for users who have subscribed, I also do free monthly training, because we bring out new features about every 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, it's amazing how quickly we still are able to bring out new stuff. So I like to keep everybody informed, make sure they get the best out of the system. If they have any questions, it's an open forum, so they can ask questions. If they have any suggestions, then that's also a great forum for that. And that is all free. I don't put those videos on the public site here. I've got a private link for, that's for a subscriber base. But everybody has access to everything you can see here on our free site. There's loads of videos here. You can also subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. And then as I bring out new videos, you'll automatically get notified on that as well. Can you start on the lower package and upgrade? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can start with the free program and upgrade, or you can start with the pro and add units to that as well. So yeah, it's totally flexible. Thank you for those good questions. Right. Oops. All right, what else? Yeah, I mean, there's too much, as I say, to show you in this, but you can track everything, your documents I mentioned before, your mortgages. I love this as well, the mortgage page here, so you can see all your mortgages at a glance. You can click on here and you can see the details of the mortgages. Purchase information works the same way, so if you're trying to remember what you bought properties for, what they might be worth now, again, you can store all your title deeds and notes and everything else regarding your properties as well. Okay, now I notice we are at the top of the hour, and I want to respect everybody's time. So if there aren't any more questions, we'd obviously love to get you onboarded. I know people in the past have said, how secure is my data? That's a good question. It's very, very secure. We use AWS, Amazon Web Services, with the highest levels of encryption. So that's all very securely backed up. So yeah, as I say, we'd love to see you get started. We've been around for 4 years. That's another question we get asked. We've got thousands of customers. I don't know exactly how many because we get new ones every day. We'd love to get all of you onboarded. And as I say, any questions, and I'd be very happy. If you drop us a line, info@alphalets.com, either myself or someone else will get back to you, normally within an hour or so, or certainly within 24 hours, depending on the urgency of it. All right, everybody, I'll bring it to a close. Please log on, set up your accounts. One thing I've noticed in the last few weeks is some people have been trying to set up accounts and they haven't been getting the verification email. I'm not sure why that is. Some of them seem to be going to spam. And if you don't get the verification email, let me know and I can unlock you from our server. I think it's just because we've had so many accounts set up that it's starting to suspect spam. So you might see a little bit of that. If you do, let us know. Again, drop us a line at info@Alphalets, and we'll get back to you. Maria, thank you. Thank you for your comments there. Smart banking looks really useful. Totally agree. I love it. I really love smart banking. It's as I say, I use it myself, and being a landlord, I'm probably the most rigorous user of our system and the most pedantic. I like things to be exactly right. So we like to produce a real quality product. Thank you, Taruto. I love it. Great. I hope you do. I love it too. Good. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we send out, I'm pretty sure we send out a recording of this video as well. So if you want to watch anything back in your own time, you can do that. And of course, there is the YouTube channel as well. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks again. Really enjoyed having you on today. And hopefully that's given you all the information you need about Alphalets for today anyway. All right. Thank you. Bye now.